Hello, everyone. Parents of the kidnapped St. Mary's Catholic School pupils in Niger State stage protest register missing children. Sahara Reporters is saying this that the parents gathered at the school on Sunday to register their names and those of their missing children as part of the documentation exercise. Over 200 parents of 315 pupils of St. Mary's Catholic School who were abducted by gunmen on November 21st in Papiri, Niger State, have taken to the streets in protest, citing government inaction. Sahara Reporters gathered at the parents gathered at the school on Sunday to register the names of their missing children as part of documentation exercise. At least 50 pupils earlier escaped, but the majority of students and 12 teachers remain in captivity. And I saw people who were questioning, oh, how can 50 students escape? Were they asleep? It does happen because that was what happened also in the case of Chibok girls. 276 was what was initially abducted. 57 were able to escape. And I interacted with one of the 57 that escaped, I think more than a year after when she was brought into Abuja. They needed a place for her, to be at. What some of them, in the way life is, some children are very bold and they will take every risk. And this particular one that, I interacted with even was sick. I just had the operation a month after when that abduction happened. And they were in the vehicle. You understand? They were in the vehicle when they were going, and then she decided she was going to jump. And she had a friend, a very good friend of hers, and she told the friend they should jump. The friend was too afraid to do it, but she took that boldness because the terrorists were going and threatening them. Anybody that tries to escape will do this to you, will that. According to her, she said they were using machine to circle them and ensure that nobody, did anything. But she took that bold step and she jumped out of the bush. She ran into the bush that they were shooting. They even used machine and torchlight to try and find them. I can't remember whether she said she hid under the bush or climbed up. I can't remember that particular detail. But she hid in the bush until, of course, you can't be looking for the ones that have escaped when you have more in your car. If you all leave, those other ones too will escape. So they ended up going with them. So it's very possible. Then, in the case of Chibok, it was 57 that escaped. That's why it was 219 that were making demands for. And it took 2 years before, and that was in May 20, that was in May 2016. It took 2 years before the first Chibok girl was found, over 2 years after before the first Chibok girl was found. So when you see things like this, there are also things, that could happen. Yes, some of them maybe jumped out or they found a new way because it's a bit hard. But some of the things that people kept saying, how can they pack so number of people? How can they, are they not this? Sometimes when people talk, I laugh. Do you know the power of gun? You see a gun. And because human beings are very, very rational, they are irrational in an essence, but they are also very rational, more like animals. It will be harder for you to be able to pack animals, but easier because the human being is thinking, if I run now, they will use gun and shoot me. An animal is not thinking, if you just run, it's left for you to use that gun or not use that gun. So those are some of the things, out there. But one of also one thing about school abductions is that you can document everyone. You can verify that these ones. So this government cannot lie because there are parents who are waiting for their children. Unlike the other abduction where you don't know anybody, you don't know names, so we just say we brought them back. That's it. How many do you know were abducted in the first place before you know who was brought back or not brought back? But in the case of school children, because the numbers are there, the names are there, these are people under an authority with their names well known, and they have people who are waiting for them, can vouch that their parents are missing. So it now puts more pressure on the government to ensure that they are brought back. Sahara Reporters reported on November 21st following the incident that the Niger state government, led by Mohammed Bago, ordered the temporary closure of boarding schools across the state. Security agencies also launched search and rescue operations. The Diocese of Minna, which oversees St. Mary's Catholic School, released a list of 263 individuals still being held, including 239 nursery and primary pupils for, oh my goodness. I thought it was even the nursery and primary school students that are even more, not the secondary. And then 14 secondary students and 12 staff members. I remember in this same Niger state, The terrorists had packed some children from Islamia. There were some as young as maybe like 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. 2 years, yeah, 3 years that they packed. And they kept them for months before. So I don't even know whether all were rescued. So these people don't have any care. They will take children, they will take babies. Imagine children in nursery and primary schools are what these people pack. At the protest, Sahara reporters gathered that over 200 parents converged at the school, registering their names and those of their missing children as part of a documentation exercise. Parents carried out the documentation exercise to assist authorities in tracking children still held in captivity, because it's very important for this documentation to be done, for them to be tracking. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say, I don't think there's any institution that lies as much as the Nigerian military and also the Nigerian government. They will come out and lie before, when they now find out they are this, they will now recant that statement and say, oh no, that's not the way that it was. It's really sad that 11 years after Chibok girls abduction, that we're still having this kind of mass abduction in Nigeria. It says everything about the people of Nigeria and also the government in Nigeria. The people of Nigeria fail to use a united voice to scream out and shout out and say, hey, girls have been taken away from school. They must be brought back. It didn't matter who was president, who was not president, whether they were people who had orchestrated the kidnap. Well, in short, at the Bring Back Our Girls movement, we used to say, even if it is the parents that kidnap their own children, we will insist, we demand that the government go and bring them back. When the government bring them back, if the children insist that they want to go back, that's a different thing. Because people were bringing conspiracy theory and whatever, instead of making demands for the girls. When they are brought back, that's the time to come and sit down and do investigation and say, how did this happen? How was this allowed to happen? Who is it that, if there's anybody that orchestrated it, find them, prosecute them and all of that. But hey, Nigerians, because they loved who was in power at that time, refused to do the needful. And so what this has done is that it has emboldened the citizens to continue to arrest the people, to continue to abduct people, to continue to kidnap people, to continue to maim, kill people. And it has also given the government enabling environment for them to continue to abdicate their responsibilities. And that's actually what we have been seeing, all this while. And it's really sad that we have come there. What people don't understand, it's every one of us, we are not safe. We are not safe, and it can be any one of us at any time. Don't think that your prayers will save you. These parents are praying. They pray, but it didn't save them, because God will not do for us what He has given us the capacity for us to do for ourselves. And so what we must do is hold the government accountable and insist that they protect lives and properties. Thank you so much for watching.